We're going to talk about the PolySweep installation today. We're on a job in Evanston, Illinois with Frank and his crew from Old World Brick Paving. We're using the PolySweep Extreme Y joint, which is a little bit overkill for this application because the joints are pretty narrow, but we can still use the Y joint in the narrow joints. It just has more polymer or more glue to it. So when you start out with PolySweep, you're going to want to cut the bag open however you're comfortable with, and we want to kind of drag it along so we're not dumping the sand in one big pile and bulldozing it down the road. We want to be able to spread it out as close to where we dump it as possible. Now these are 8-centimeter pavers, so they're going to soak up a lot of sand. When you're sweeping in the sand, the first one, primero, we're going to go with the joints, con líneas. We're going to go this way and this way. So at this point, we're just trying to get the sand in the joints, not worried about getting all the dust off or any of the other materials. Once we've done our initial sweep and we've swept in with the lines parallel and perpendicular, now we have to sweep the polymeric sand out. In the old days, we used to leave the sand on the surface before polymeric sands, and we would vibrate over the top of the sand and use that as our scuff plate. You're not supposed to do that with any polymeric sand anymore. The pavers have capillaries like your skin does, and if I compact with the polymeric sand still laid out on the surface like you see here, I could run the risk of driving the polymers down into the open capillaries of the pavers. So we're going to do kind of a secondary sweep, and instead of going with the lines this time, I'm going to go 45 degrees to the lines. So you can see prior to compaction, it gets the heights pretty decent in the pavers, the sand in the joints rather. However, I'm not particularly interested in that just yet. That'll become important when we do, after our compaction, when we do our final sweep before watering. So the first watering, we're going to do 3, okay? The first one, just muy poquito, just a little bit, okay? So I'm going to start at the bottom because we got a little slope here.
Okay.
And all I'm doing is changing the color of the pavers. We're just getting the sand a little bit wet because I want to break the surface tension on that sand. Okay, so the water will go through easier on the second one. So the first one is just very, very light. So if you're doing just a little walkway, maybe 100 square feet, then I want you to wait 5 or 10 minutes in between each watering. But by the time I get from there to here, it's already been 5 minutes, so I don't need to wait. Okay, so that was the first watering, just very, very light. The second watering, I do the exact same way, but slower, más despacio. We're gonna go a little bit slower. We want a little bit of water. I just have to be careful not to wash the sand out of the joint. I just want to go slow enough so the water just starts to sit in the joint. See how it just sits there a little bit? The last watering is a little bit slower and a little bit heavier. We want the water to start to sit in those joints. Like here, this is going to be fine, and we'll clean that up with the blower. But I got a little bit too much water on there. I washed a little bit out in the corner. I'll show you how to clean that up. But I was a little bit too heavy. There's a little bit too much of a slope there for the amount of water I was putting down. That'll be okay, but we're gonna have to address that before we're done. So we did 3 waterings. That's the minimum. This is the most important thing I want you guys to get out of today, okay? When you're done with the 3 waterings, you gotta check the joints. Otherwise, we're just assuming that we got it wet all the way down there. Take your knife and stick it right down in there. And that's wet all the way down. So that's good, okay? And then you literally just kind of push it back in the joint.